All right, everybody. It's 10:32 p.m. Well, not p.m., but a.m. I wanted to. There's a few things I needed to go over it now. Just yesterday. Now, actually, before I even get into that, the situation with both Wayne, Jeffo, and Cheryl. I wanted to just go ahead and give this, give a clarification out on this. I'm not calling them perps in any way, shape, or form. Okay. When as I mentioned before, when I basically saw that video and I saw targeted individuals, it was my fault. I just assumed that maybe this was the same, anonymous that was basically trying to help TIs before. My mistake. I don't believe it is because when I started looking more into the situation with anonymous, they got disbanded. And of course, if they, with the government having someone who knows these people, personally, obviously he went ahead and sold out the rest. So now I think they actually, and I've been saying this, I did say this before in the last video that I, mentioned about this, how I had seen some photos from the Twitter feeds that Antifa was actually dressed in anonymous masks. No joke. They were literally dressed in it. So I believe that they do have some people like that posing as that, pretty much for that divide and conquer agenda that they got, that whole paid opposition thing. Now, that doesn't mean that the real anonymous members aren't really taking any measures. They probably are, but there's really no telling what the hell is going on because there's a lot of confusion out there. But regarding to what Jeffo and Wayne Morris podcast had, I did watch it. And I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a sincerest apology about something, but I want people to also understand. We have nano particles and nano parasites in our systems. This stuff is in our minds, it's in our bodies, it's in our muscles, it's everywhere throughout our systems, okay? So some of the things that we say whenever any TI goes on a video, says anything, it may not exactly be our exact words. This is a dangerous situation that we're dealing with today. A very dangerous one, which is why it's very important to get this stuff out of your system. Remember, this technology is very manipulative. This technology, and I've been telling a lot of TIs, please just do not respond to these perps. Don't, because they will just, all that is, the whole thing is scripted. There's no point in even trying to reasoning with them because the only thing they're told to do, the only thing they're taught to do is to basically fuck up your life as best as they can. Even like get you, they'll end up getting, either to get you put in an institution, either get you in a penitentiary or worse. So definitely be careful about that. Don't respond to what these perps are doing because it's a very dangerous situation. Also, fellow TIs, we're also every day we are basically having our minds, these bastards attempting to program us every day. So if from what I had said when it came to the deadline, I want to retract that because that is a dangerous situation. But at the same time, I want people to understand that our minds are not necessarily our own right now. These technology gives them the ability to basically put that subliminal messaging into your system. Even as I speak right now, I've got perps on my left side and perps on the right and in front of my apartment unit, as well as a top two. Every little thing that they do is a basic attempt to get me to react. But I wanted to confirm something that Jeffo mentioned, right, about this technology because I went out and I did confirm it. But I want to assure people when I say like gather the evidence, I'm not telling you to go directly to nobody's house. No, do not do that. Okay. What I did is that I basically had the apps, collecting the data. Not data collection, but mapping the situation out to where they had everything laid down, which was collecting my data. So all I did was I used a simple method just by going out for a jog to basically see what was really happening. When I went all the way to where the towers were, I did not go onto the street because that is a freeway. I did not go all the way out there. I stayed at a safe distance to still figure out where things were. Upon my arrival, two very strange things happened. So I want to give T.I.'s a warning about this too, because it would be very irresponsible of me if I didn't. I believe I used Ramble. Now, when I went out to the location, they had all those devices that were stealing my data latched on just into the same spot. They had it mapped onto where I was standing at. Each time I tried to figure out where this stuff was coming from, it was just all in the same exact spot. All of it. And all the while this is happening, while this stuff is happening, it just didn't, I figured, right? I started, and I've been mentioning this too. Like, you know something, though, if there was anything that they wanted mostly from TIs is for us to stay on the fucking grid, right? Now, we see that the UN, well, before I even go into that, so when I was basically noticed that, I basically went around the area. I had to go back out and go along the street, and then eventually I was able to get on the side of where the freeway was. Again, I stayed at a safe distance, but the area that I was in before was a parking lot of this shopping district. So the area was basically fenced off from the freeway, so I couldn't just walk over to it, so I had to go around. So I go around where the satellites and stuff was supposed to be at that showed up on the map, and I'm seeing two red shopping carts. Not just any two red shopping carts, but two Target red shopping carts. So they really didn't want me going near those towers. They really didn't. But I would be irresponsible if I didn't mention this to TIs. So about the deadline thing, I probably will take that. I most likely will take that video down. I'll probably have to provide a link back to Miss H Space Peace channel. But again, I just want people to understand that, like, every day we're going through this, that where our minds are being manipulated with this technology. And again, don't when you do this, understand that the government is not the solution. It's always been the problem. Okay, the UN is no different than the government. It practically is the government. There's no good that has ever came from, and you know something, why on earth would they be making this stuff public just now? Like, why, out of all the times where this shit could have been addressed, how come they did not address it back then? Like, what was up with that? And think about it. There was a president that actually was willing to speak out about all of this shit. And when he was planning on doing so, not only did they alter his message that he was giving out to the people, because it wasn't about MK Ultra, it was about the directed energy attacks. That's what it was about. So the news basically messed with that. And when he was planning on going even further with the situation, he got assassinated. But I want people to understand this one thing. This stuff is inside of our bodies, manipulating the entire structure, sending subliminal messaging, and desperately trying to program us. The one thing we cannot allow is for this stuff to basically take full control over our minds, man, because that's what they want. And this crap nearly did do that to me even before I knew anything about targeting individuals. They literally nearly had me there, but I don't know how, but I was able to break out of it. I superly got lucky that I broke out of it. Somehow I was still conscious of what was happening, but it was like, I don't know how to really explain this way. It was like my body was just unconsciously moving, like, you know, being manipulated. So again, I could still see, right? I could still see and everything and speak. But it was to the point to where my body was just unconsciously being manipulated to where, like, I just didn't have that much control over it like I wanted to. Felt like I was being, you know, puppeteered around like a freaking robot. This wouldn't be the only time I suffered from this. There were times when I was younger to where, like, my body was just completely paralyzed while I was laying down in bed. And I would barely even be able to get up. I would just be stuck there. And I would have to start, I'm telling you, when I say this was a bad and dangerous situation, I really do mean it was a bad and dangerous situation. I could not talk. I could barely even move. The only thing I could do was, like, try to desperately tilt my body to the side And this eventually led to me having to just sleep on the sides of the beds because this started to become a reoccurring thing. I eventually had to start leaning and sleeping on the very edge of my bed just to basically knock my body down to the floor for me to snap out of it. How come just as soon as that happened, I'm back to normal again? Let me tell you something. That's not a normal situation at all. Because I get it. Like if I was like laying on a part of my body and I was cutting off my circulation, I would understand that. But just tilting, like me, just tilting my body, and all of a sudden I'm just immediately snap out of it. I'm able to get up and everything. That's definitely a different situation that caused that. But again, I'm not calling Wayne. I'm not calling Jeffo. I'm not calling Cheryl a perp. Okay, that was not the intention for when I basically put out that video, or should I say, shared that video. Regardless of whoever that person was, I want people to understand that I don't think we can basically take anything coming from anonymous as face value due to the significations of what happened a while ago, right? You can't, because at this point, I mean, the government got someone from their team to just join them like that, man. And he started outing every single one of them, right? So there's no way that they would just say, no, just give us a few names. No, dude, they wanted every single one of those people's names, man. They wanted to know everything about every single person who was on that. So I truly do believe there's about every single one of them were being constantly surveyed because, as you all know, there was a video sent to I think his name was Satanic. I believe that was the name of his channel. And they were explaining about the situation, like wondering, well, was Anonymous gone or not, right? And what he was explaining was that they're not gone, but the situation's like gotten really out of hand because there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of infighting, and what I mean by this infighting, we got a lot of these Black Lives Matter assholes out there, as well as Antifa assholes, all collaborating together, working as paid opposition to basically roll in this new world order that they want. So I want people to understand these chemtrails were sprayed everywhere. Even these gang stalkers are underneath that shit when it is happening. Some of these individuals who are gang stalking you may very well have their minds being controlled, and they don't have control over their actions, as well as what they're saying and what they're doing. That's what I have witnessed. And I'm not even going to say that every single one of these perps are good people. No. I'm not even going to say that, not even the slightest, because I believe some of these people who are hired on that payroll are very well, in compliance with that shit. I truly do believe that, man. I truly do. But at the same time, what we need to do is basically connect with all these other fellow truth seekers out there, the people who are fighting against this, and share our findings to basically detox people of this stuff, because that's how dangerous this situation is. So then, Wayne, Cheryl, Jeff, I want to humbly apologize for the message, and I want to retract that message because the situation is dangerous. The situation definitely is dangerous because I went out there, right? I went out there and all I did was just go for a walk. I didn't approach nobody. I didn't say nobody. I had my recordable glasses on, as a means of protection. And I even had my pepper spray too. I had went out there, right? And I basically got the mapping and the layouts of all of this stuff, right? And for them to just switch it up like that, so that really came across as very sinister right there. However, we can't deny the fact that like this is still allowing us to, it's at least getting us somewhere. The fact that the ASN, is giving us these lists of things that are showing up, right? The fact that we're making headway with this, finding that this is exactly what's happening. But at the same time, I want people to understand ourselves, our whole line of defense does not lie with the government, because the government has been the problem for this whole time, for all of this stuff that has been happening, all of it, every single bit of it. And it still is the problem even to today. So fellow TIs, if any other fellow TI says something you're not gonna like, here's the thing: don't let that get to you. Okay? We need to talk. We need to be able to be to get more together on the situation. Let's just talk the situation out, come up to an understanding on it, so we can prevent any misunderstanding. So again, for everybody who's watching, who's listening to this video, I am not calling Wayne Morris. I am not calling Jeffo, and I am not calling Cheryl Lewis a perp. I am not advocating that, and I am not saying that in any way, shape, or form. So I want people to understand. Again, I am not calling them perps in any way, shape, or form. However, I will change my procedure around when it comes to informing fellow TIs about certain things. And I probably should have did this because I did the same thing about Nappy's head roots situation. How they were basically, messing around with his battery in his car. I basically made a video, right? I made a video and then I basically talked about what happened. So what I'm gonna do from here on out, I'm not just gonna post the video for itself, but what I will do is that I'll make a video explaining what's happening, and I'll say please bring this basically please make sure that this particular TI sees this is happening here. That was the main goal, was to bring awareness that there were TIs being discredited, but I guess it is very it is very questionable that I would post it. So that won't happen again. That won't happen again. It's not. But also, the thing about the deadline, again, every day when we're sleeping, every day when we're awake, we are being manipulated by this stuff. Every day. So even as I am making a video, they could be very well trying to basically utilize this stuff to try to edge their little bit in there. And as I'm trying to help people, they're going to be doing that. They're going to be trying to use that against everybody, and they're going to use that against me as well. This basically goes for every TI, because all of us are laced with this nano shit, man. Everybody has. It is not even just TIs, it's everybody. They sprayed in the skies. We've been breathing this in for how long? For so long, man. That's the whole reason why I shared the information for the anti-nano bucket, because look, the one most thing, there's two scenarios here, right? There's two different scenarios. We can and this is why I even brought awareness to about a plain truth for you. What they did was basically they got together, they made their own laws that basically overruled the laws of the state, so that they didn't have to just go in line with the bullshit that their Senate was basically, what those corrupted politicians were trying to push on the people, just because they were getting a good payday. Those people don't have to tolerate that shit, and it's about time people understood that, man. It's about damn time they do. But at the same time, when it comes to that, here's what we are dealing with. Again, everybody is being sprayed with this stuff. Right? Everybody is being sprayed. So we need to get more and more people together to basically say, no, stop spraying our skies, and get these people the information on how to detox this stuff out of their systems. Start defunding these organizations that is allowing this shit to happen. Stop paying the money. I would normally grow my own damn garden myself, but it's not an easy process to do that, especially if you're a TI. It's not an easy process to just grow your own garden, man. They would probably fuck with that. I have no doubt in my mind. But it didn't stop me from getting a bag of seeds, of multiple choice seeds now. It didn't stop me from doing that. I keep that on handy all the time in case the day comes when it's time for me to go off grid, so I'll be ready. I gathered the equipment for the same exact purpose. I want to be able to help TIs, but at the same time, I'm not doing anything until I get this crap completely out of my system. Not until I have all of this nano shit out of my system, these nano parasites, all of that crap. I had shared a video. I'm very grateful for what T-Lock had found, and I'm very grateful for that lady's channel. The name escapes me at the moment, but I'm very grateful for what she showed, because that's exactly what I've been talking about. They use that shit to control people. TIs, we know this is happening. We know this stuff is happening. So if we say anything that someone may like, we just need to basically address the situation as is. And I'm very grateful that both Jeff and Wayne basically talked that out on their podcast, because I want to basically I want to basically come to an understanding on that situation so we can just put that behind us. So again, I humbly apologize for that. I truly do. But I want people to understand that a lot of our words can very well be manipulated in a way for them, for it to fit the enemy's interests. So we may say something that, fellow TIs may not find, beneficial to TIs, or we might say something that other TIs, might not be too happy about, and they might be upset about. So the whole point is to basically not let that shit basically get to us, to basically have a decent discussion, to basically move on from it, to continue to put a stop to this mess. Because until we do that, more and more people's minds are going to be manipulated. More and more people's minds are going to be controlled. And we can't let that happen. We can't. I tried even making a video earlier only to find out that the darn thing wasn't even recording. And I knew something was up because the recording bar wasn't even showing at all. So I'm checking this. All right, it seems to be recording. But again, I'm not telling any TI to go up to these houses that are showing. Do not do that, because I personally did a walkabout in the entire area to get the map out of the systems they were using, right? And they had all of that equipment just marked down on my location. So understand, this stuff is coming from Google. Google is the same organization known to basically be doing the exact same crap that Facebook's been doing. They had one particular app on their they used to have it on their app store, but they got rid of it. And it was an app that allowed you to record with the screen off. It was an app that allowed you to record with the screen off. Maybe a lot of people were complaining about it, I guess. But that's a very essential tool for TIs to have, to basically, because you could just have that. And I think it was the Badger report and I've mentioned this before. It was the Badger report that basically mentioned it, and he had it like in his pocket or whatever. And all he had to do was walk around, and all the evidence of everything that they were doing is being, captured on that, just like that. Didn't have to react. Same thing with the glasses. Didn't have to react. You just every little thing that they do gets documented. But again, the power rests with the people, not the government. That's honestly why, I'm very convinced that the whole thing that they want is just TIs is just to stay put. I'm fairly concerned about that. But at the same time, there's still a lot, the situation as is still gives us a way to basically gather information to expose these corruptive organizations for what they are. I'm still, and that's the main point about it. But at the same time, we can't deny that the situation is still dangerous. However, remember, there's still too many of us. There's too many of us, and people are waking up by the day. Every day that goes by, more and more people are waking up, seeing the truth of what this is. So I guess, no, I don't even guess, I know. And I should have done it too. I should have worded that message a bit differently, not saying, well, this will expose fake TIs. No. What I should have said instead of that was that we need to get this message out as best as we can so TIs can basically, get that information down, because it's even though it's some of this stuff may be manipulated, it's not denying the fact that we're finding more and more information out there that's basically involved in this, Now now here's the thing, and what I'm getting at here. Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, right? They have all this equipment on Jimmy Swaggart's Ministries property. There's no denying that, because I'm experiencing the effects of remote neural monitoring, remote manipulation, and all that stuff, right? There's no denying that part. Not to mention the gang stalkers are on their property, right? So I look up Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, and then I'm seeing that they have been involved with people who are most likely gang stalkers, gang members, and other people who are involved in this shit. So I want people to look at that situation and understand like that becomes very obvious. So this stuff does work to our benefit. But again, do not put your faith in the government, because the government has always been the problem. They'll give out and I've been stated this before. They'll give out a solution, but in reality, they'll cause a problem and they'll give out a solution, right, to get what they want. And I believe what the government wants is for us to stay on the grid. TIs definitely need to get off the grid, but it's too dangerous to get off the grid on your own, and it's too dangerous. It's just as dangerous to get off the grid without having this stuff completely flushed out of your system. So that's pretty much all I wanted to basically discuss. If anybody wants to see the video footage as proof that they did basically have that stuff latched onto my current location, I will gladly upload that. Just let me know in the comment section and I'll do just that. But I end this video once more. I'm not saying that Wayne, and I'm not saying that Cheryl, and I'm not saying that Jeff are perps, okay? So just for just for the sake of it, that's my statement on the matter. I'm not calling them perps. But at the same time, I'm hoping people will understand that they're using this technology to divide and conquer. That's their main tactic. They want us to fight amongst ourselves. They want us to bicker amongst ourselves. That's what they want. I'm desperately trying my hardest to help TIs out there, but again, I'm literally just as being. They're literally desperately trying to manipulate me just as well as they're trying to manipulate many others out there too. A lot of others. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, minus the targeting. Stay safe, stay strong.